The regular council meeting for Tuesday, May 25th, 2021 is called to order at 7:01 p.m. We've already had the silent meditation and Pledge of Allegiance in the previous meeting. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Roll call, Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Erbaum.
Present.
Councilperson Perella.
Here.
Councilperson Dr. Ward.
Here.
Councilperson Martin.
Here.
Also present for the record, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, Christy Alou, Village Manager, Interim Village Attorney, Joseph Geller.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Next is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as is? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilperson Perella. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Hearing none. Moving on, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for April 27th?
I will move to approve those minutes.
Motion moved by Vice Mayor Erbaum. Do I have a second for approval of the minutes?
I'll second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none. Next, we're going to do special presentation, and it is the Municipal Clerks Appreciation Month presentation. All right, you guys. So I'm going to call her up in a second, but let me just say this really quickly. First of all, this is the 52nd, I believe, annual Professional Municipal Clerks Appreciation Month, because the week of Municipal Clerks Appreciation falls in the month of May. And so this was created in 1969, you guys. It was solidified in 1984 by President Reagan. And it was double-backed and doubled up in 1994 and 1996 by President Clinton at that time. And when President Clinton backed up President Reagan's 1984 proclamation for this, President Clinton put it in stone and made it so that it is forever. And that is what we call Municipal Clerks Appreciation Month. So before I'll call her up, I'm going to get up here really quickly. If the council could join me, please. You guys could join me. You guys could join me. How you doing? How you guys doing? I think, hello, okay. I think I can speak for everyone up here, and if you guys want to say something, you can. When I say that Clerk Janice Jacoby is more than just a clerk to us, she's part of the family of not only here at Village Hall, but she's part of the family of Alberta as a whole. All the residents love her here in the village. All the residents look at her as a family member here in the village. She always goes above and beyond to make everything right for all of us. Me and her are always on the phone late night trying to get these things done with resolutions and ordinances, just making sure everything is done the right way. So I really appreciate her. I have nothing but love and respect for her. And like I said, if anybody else wants to say something, they can. But from my heart, I just want to thank you for everything that you do, and you're very, very special to me. Thank you very much.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You are that person. The smile is what attracted you to me, and then your expertise made it solid. So yes, you are. That's all I can say. Yes, you are. All of that and more.
So I did not expect to find myself in politics, at least not an elected official. But you're invaluable to this entire process. And so I would have fallen flat on my face immediately if I didn't have a clerk who was able to help me out then and now. So thank you for all of your assistance and guidance. That's it. Thank you so very much.
I'll just second what everyone else says. You're amazing, and the fact that you do it and manage it so well with your family is truly remarkable. So thank you.
Yeah,
Nothing else to say, but thank you. Big thank you. I mean, you're very essential in this, you know, uh, uh, village hall and for all of us. And thank you for what you do. You go above and beyond to, you know, make sure that everything gets done on your part. Thank you. Big thank you.
So at this time, I'd like to bring up our village clerk, Miss Shanice Jacoby.
First of all, I'm very humble, and I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to work here and to continue to work here. Since I started as a clerk, this was not my background. I've learned a lot of things from each of you, believe it or not. Every day I still continue to learn. I implemented many things that weren't here before because one of the things that is essential, at least in my department, is transparency. And actually having the YouTube is one of the things that I implemented so they can watch it at their leisure. Everybody plays an important role here from the entrance to the exit. I am very appreciative of all of you, and I feel extremely humbled, and it feels good to be appreciated. And for that, I'm thankful for. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, it's heavy. Make sure not to throw it at everybody. Thank you. Very nice. What does it say on it? It looks like the feather from the. Oh, come on! Don't try. People are gonna know my age. I can't see. It says thank you for your. Oh, I can't see. Continued service to the community of El Portal, and to the community of El Portal. All of you, I do see as family. I have come to know a lot of you. It goes beyond the job. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Manager. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you. At this time, you guys are moving into good and welfare. If anybody has anything that they want to say about anything on the agenda, this is your time to do so. You can just come up and say your name and address, and you can say whatever you want to say. Come on up to the mic.
Hi, my name is Philip Longobardi. I live at 194 Northwest 91st Street over by Horace Mann. And, you know, I just wanted to start to say to you guys that, and very genuinely, that I really appreciate what you do, especially the mayor and the council, because I don't think you guys get much reward for it. And I don't think the village would be what it is if you guys weren't here doing it. And I really genuinely mean that truly. And, you know, being a resident here, you guys really create who we are. So, yay to that. You know, I think the general thing that I wanted to say, and, you know, it sprung a little bit, for the first time ever, contacted the city about, or the council about something. I wrote Mayor Nickerson the other day about the thing about the proposed change in the swales. And I'm thinking it's going to be, you know, kinder of me to wait and actually make the comment about that during the agenda item, so I will. But there was something else I kind of, and the main reason I came that I wanted to say is more general. And, it's one of the things that stuck out to me about the swale item, you know, the changes that people may have to make. I know that there's code enforcement changes happening here as well. And I just think everybody's been through a really hard time, and I just wanted to stand here as a resident and say to the council that as they make those changes and as they do those things, that they really understand, especially things that have the ability to have a financial implication to residents, that whether they're tiered in, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I think you guys do, I just wanted to speak to that briefly, because that's actually the main reason I came here. You know, I think beyond that, the only thing I wanted to say is that I moved here in 2001. I bought my house in 2003. I've lived in El Portal a long time, and I've watched enormous change here in that period. It's incredible. With the developments in Little River and what's, you know, the possibilities that hopefully that'll bring our neighborhood, I think the future is just amazing for El Portal. The chance to increase the quality of life here, the value of our homes, all of those things, I could not possibly share in that with you more than, I just can't possibly share in that more. So I don't want what I'm saying to come across like as being something restrictive or something else. I'm really excited about what we're able to accomplish as we move forward. Another thing I've noticed in the time that I've been here is that in the change in El Portal, larger things don't seem to be done. And I remember, like, when I first moved here, I think about a year afterwards, they were all excited because a bunch of residents had gotten together and had gotten federal funding and they were going to do the sewer thing, and that was 18 years ago. So, you know, just to toss that out. And I think there's so many potentials. You know, just to say one thing briefly, you know, one of the things that makes Miami Shores beautiful is that there aren't telephone poles on the streets. They're all hidden. And there's opportunities like that, decorative lighting, things that could make a really substantial difference, but those things are incredibly complicated. And I wonder sometimes if, because of our scale, which is a huge benefit to us, that maybe that scale also makes those more complex issues more difficult. So if I'm not sure if I 100% have like a point in saying that, I just wanted to say it. And the second thing, that I wanted to say when I came here is that, you know, I know so many people from different parts of Miami, Miami Shores for sure, that at one point or another are always kind of griping about the village or the city that they live in and things that are happening and the way they're being treated, or, you know, whatever that turns out to be. And as a digression, I can say in every interaction I've ever had with the city, the police, any aspect of El Portal, it's always been positive. And in the 20 years I've lived here, I've never heard one resident say something to me where, like, the city was giving them a hard time or there was a bummer about it. I think the point that I'm really, wanted to leave you guys with, and I just thought of this in the car, so I'm sorry it's a little cheesy. I hope we don't become another Miami Shores. I think Miami Shores is unbelievably beautiful, but I hope that isn't our mission. And that there's something kind of wonderful in the uniqueness of El Portal and our scale and just the nature of the place. And again, I apologize, this is cheesy, but when I was a kid, my mom had this table in the living room, and it had a gold leaf base that was intentionally kind of, I guess antiqued a little bit. So my grandmother came to visit, and she was helping my mom clean, and she didn't realize that. She thought it was dirty, and she Brilloed the gold leaf off the table, trying to remove what she perceived as, it not being shiny enough. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you guys is that I hope in the attempts to change us, we don't Brillo off the gold in trying to make those changes. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lombardi. Pretty appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. I just wanted to really say before we go on that I understand exactly what you're saying, and we do have we are focusing on infrastructure and doing things that the residents have been waiting for so long. And as far as things like septic to sewer that you mentioned, we do have the addendum number 2 on our agenda tonight, which is the next step forward into achieving that goal. So that's on here. And if you do look at the agenda, we have a number of items on here that do focus on infrastructure for El Portal. And I've said this before. I know Vice Mayor Urban and Councilperson Perella have heard me say this before. And I think, Councilperson Martin and Councilperson Lightfoot Ward have probably heard me say this also, but I know I used to say it all the time, which is that, my vision, and the village manager, of course, has always heard me say this, my vision of El Portal is that, when you drive up north, there are some New England towns that look like they looked back in the days of the Revolutionary War. They're not up and overdeveloped and things like that, but yet they do have an infrastructure. They have sewage, they have different things, they have different things when it comes to electricity and stuff like that. They have an infrastructure that's modern, but the town themselves, if you go up north, a lot of town themselves, it looks like you're stuck back in history, and that's the beauty of what can be. And I've always said that I never want El Portal to be like downtown Miami one day. I never want El Portal to be like any of these other places that are going to, over time, get built up and modernized to the point to where you just don't recognize to what they used to be. So I want to maintain the pristine history of El Portal, so that 100 years from now, when we're all gone, somebody can roll through Miami and ride through El Portal and be like, that place is different. So that's my goal. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. We have we have a hand up, and then
I like the dressing.
absolutely. We'll go.
Say it again. I don't remember it. What's your name?
Longobardi.
Robert. Okay, very good.
The mask doesn't help.
You have an amazing way of describing things. let me put this to you. Patel is a huge park compared to parks. We're a park. We are a park. And I got what you have, that vision that we stay a park. When people move here who've been here for years and years, never knew about this little city, they say, it's a park. I said, yes, it is, and we intend to keep it that way. Because a lot of folks don't know what Patel, not even where Patel is. Despite the fact that we are next door to both Miami and Miami Shores, they don't know we're here. And I'm like you, I want to keep it that way, because it is definitely more than just a park. It's a paradise. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Let's go to see what hand we have up, and then if anybody else from the council has anything to say, we'll come back to the council.
I just wanted to say that it was hard. It was hard to listen to him speak because it was too far away from the microphone. If anybody else speaks, if they could speak closer.
Okay, we'll make sure that happens.
Thank you. And sorry, this is my first meeting. Is there like an open floor at some point, or is this happening now?
Well, okay, so it's happening now. Well, first of all, can you say your name and address for the record?
Jessica Cooper, 255 Northeast 89th Street.
Thank you. It's happening now, but for every item, before we take a vote, for every item, you do have an opportunity to speak on that particular item also. So if you just want to speak in general, you can speak right now, but if there's a specific item that you wanted to talk about once we get to that item, you can wait for then also, and you'll have an opportunity to speak then also.
Okay, I have 2 items I would like to speak about. Number one is I know that recently the park is closed because somebody drove into it, and I was wondering when that's going to be fixed.
Madam Manager can come in, but we have to wait for the gate to come, and then once the gate comes and is put up, and then we'll be able to open the park back up.
Is there a time frame?
Madam Manager, it's not.
Yes, we have a contractor who works on our metal gates when we have problems, and that gate was already being worked on, but this new incident created a setback, so we wanted that to be the priority. So our company, Osuna Fencing, came out and made the measurements. He has to create or make the metal that will be replaced here and then install it. So no, we don't have a time frame. He took the measurements last week when the accident happened, and we are asking that he work quickly and get the pieces back in place. So I don't have a date, but we know that that's the priority, and the other work he was doing was put aside so that he could get that part repaired so that we can reopen. Please just check the website. I will put out notice as soon as we get any updates about that. I understand that park was closed for a while, and we were happy to reopen it, but this was a setback, and you understand it is a priority for us.
Is there any chance that we could put up like one of those like temporary fences, so to protect the children? If the issue is that it's an eyesore, obviously the yellow caution tape is also an eyesore, and at least it would be functional in the meantime, because as we all know, everything in South Florida takes a little bit longer than we'd like. I would just like to put that out there. You guys can discuss that, but all parents would appreciate to have their children be able to use the park and burn out that energy so we can all go to sleep earlier. And the second thing is that I happen to live next to an Airbnb at the moment, and it is very, very unpleasant. And I was wondering if there's something that we could do about short-term rentals. Ideally, I would say that having a 1-month short-term rental would be preferred. In that instance, if somebody's going to be renting a home, we do live in a neighborhood, and to back what everybody else was saying and the gentleman prior to, is to keep this area, it's a secret paradise, so to say. And I am also a Miami resident that had no idea where El Portal was, and I love it. But to constantly be discussing with my husband that we need to be selling our home because it is so unpleasant what is happening next door is is very sad. So if that is not
Um,
possible, perhaps there's parties all night. This last week, somebody until 7 in the morning. Somebody peed in my bush. I mean, in the beginning, they're racing down the street. I can hear it. That the racing hasn't happened lately, but I mean, it was going on for like 2 weeks straight. I was actually afraid that those were my permanent neighbors. If we can't, do short-term limitations towards the length of time, perhaps fining, the first instance be $100, the second $300, like make something more contingent. And on top of that, like, from what I've heard, it's dependent on who's currently staying there at that time. But I think it should be the homeowner, regardless of who stays there. If I decide to leave my home and rent it out, or have my cousins stay here and they throw a party, like, I should be fined for that. I'm responsible for anything that happens on that during that time frame. Um, those are the two topics that I wanted to bring up. And I will listen to the rest and continue to join the meetings moving forward.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you joining us. The Airbnb situation is something that that we were discussing previously. I know that Vice Mayor Urban and Councilperson Perella was really spearheading that discussion. I'll turn it over to Vice Mayor Urban right now.
Just to speak quickly and briefly on that, we're awaiting a little bit more direction from Tallahassee in terms of what we may or may not be limited in our ability to do here locally. And so I think our goal is, I feel strongly that our goal would be by September, October, we've got resolutions already coming through for the first kind of regulations of short-term rentals in El Portal, whatever that looks like. So this has been an ongoing discussion. It's definitely a top priority for both code enforcement as well as public safety. And so we're hoping to be able to have a clear path towards a resolution that will last based on what Tallahassee essentially allows us to do. So that's where we're at right now, and that's our goal, is by the end of the summer to have a resolution in place as a starting point.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Urban. Let me just add before we move on, you guys, that nobody should have to feel like within their own home that they're not comfortable. So if there's a party going on, late into the hours like that, you can call our police department and they'll come over and do what they have to do to disperse that, because nobody throughout the village, no resident should have to feel that way in their own home. So.
And then I will just add, if you don't feel that it warrants a 911 call, please call 305-4-POLICE. Just simply let them know you're in El Portal. They will get word to an El Portal police officer quickly. So again, if you don't feel it's necessary to call 911, please, 305-4-POLICE is the non-emergency number.
Yeah, and that's 305, the number 4, police, not FOR, but 305, the number 4, and then police. Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Urban. Is there anybody else for good and welfare? How are we looking on Zoom? We're good? All right, seeing none, you guys, we're going to move on. Seeing no more, we're going to move on to the agenda items. The first agenda item, Councilperson Martin, is H1 Juneteenth celebration. I remember you said that you were going to try to reach out to maybe any surrounding organizations or museums, or even like Horace Mann Middle. So if you just want to give us an update.
You guys wanted just an update on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so reached out to a number of local museums and also Horace Mann. Perez Art Museum, unfortunately, they're revamping their program, and this is too tight of a timeline for them to work with us on. However, they are interested in partnering in our 2022 iteration of the programming. We do have a artist consortium, a group of artists that might be willing to activate the space. They came and took a look at it today and will give us some more information on how they think they can activate it. In addition to that, University of Miami has expressed an interest in partnering with us on their Juneteenth celebration. So they have a couple of virtual events that are happening, and they are having discussions with the body that organizes it, I think this week, to flesh out exactly how El Portal can be included in that. So our vision might look a little bit different just because we had such a short timeline on this one. However, I think our ducks are in a row for future subsequent years of our Juneteenth celebration.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin. Before I turn it over to the council, and so it's so good because, you know, Juneteenth, you know, will occur on a Saturday this year, which is perfect. And our idea of opening the Village Hall, you know, decorating it and keeping it open throughout that Saturday would be is going to be a great thing. The only other thing that I would say, you guys, is that we just have to, because this is the last, well, we might have to have a special meeting for other stuff, but which we could probably put this on also, but this is, you know, the last full council meeting if we do not have to have a special meeting. This is the last full council meeting before that event. So, so we just have to make sure that we really keep communication open with the village manager so that we can keep things, and the village clerks, right, that we can keep things coordinated. I remember that I discussed that, you know, if we could possibly get more of the black covers for any additional tables that we might have to use from over there. I'll discuss also with the village manager about light refreshments. I'll handle that if you guys want me to, so you don't have to worry about it. Councilperson Martin, I know you're dealing with so many different things, but
there are a lot of ducks in a row, but I do have a follow-up question. So if the format has to change, so the group that's getting back to us, right, they are giving us an idea, most likely tomorrow, of how they can activate the space. And that might change what it looks like versus what we initially discussed. So do you guys need to know how it changes through the manager? Or, so you would want to know how it changes before, Mr. Mayor, before we actually go forth?
well, we could do, all right, so we could do this. Okay, so it's today, because of the other items that we have on, when we get to the resolutions and ordinances, we have some things that are time sensitive where we may have to have a special meeting. We'll probably have to have a special meeting, you know, as quick as possible, which the earliest we would have to be like June 8th.
Okay.
Which is before June 19th.
Okay, great.
So if we want to wait and get the information,
That's
and then when
perfect.
we have that special meeting on June 8th, if we able to do that, then we can put it on the agenda. I'll make sure it's on the agenda, and we can
Perfect.
go from there. So
Sounds amazing.
all right, more solidified. All right, and we'll handle that particular time. Anybody else from the council about Juneteenth?
Just to say that I think unless the budget is really, you can't hear me? Okay. How about now? No? I've got a green light, but it's on. Maybe it's just the mask is really effective. All right. All right.
Well, you know, the governor did pass that said indoors we don't got to wear them if you you can take it off if you want to.
Yes, but in solidarity with all the people who can't take them off yet, no problem leaving them on. So, okay, I think I found the spot there. Whatever he touched seemed to work. So, all right, thank you. So unless we're talking about the budget, I think it's possible to send updates through the manager without too much issue. And in terms of the format, unless it's radically different, I think it's fine. So if they're going to activate the space, we had originally talked about activating the space through an art display, and so if this is along those lines, I think we're still talking about exactly what we were talking about. So I think the big picture is we just want to make sure that we are able to in an honorable way, acknowledge and celebrate Juneteenth. And as long as we are able to stick with that vision, I think we're on the right track. So I think budget is the only thing really at this point that would require like a special meeting to discuss. All other points can probably be navigated through communication with the manager.
That makes sense to me, and the budget definitely won't increase. If anything, it will drastically decrease, but I'll let you guys know for sure. And definitely the reason for it all is just making sure that we honor this worthy day in the village of El Portal. So I'll let you guys know.
Thank you, Councilperson Martin. You know, it will either have to be tonight, but I think we should probably wait till that June 8th meeting when we have all the details. But we do have to pass it through a council meeting, because we passed it through public affairs previously, so it hasn't been passed through council. And since it's an unbudgeted, it's not on like the actual budget, so we just have to pass it through a council meeting. So we can do that June 8th, though. All right.
Is there any reason not to do it?
We can do it right now.
I say
Anybody,
Let's do it tonight.
yeah, we can do it right now since we're here. Yeah. Do I have a motion to approve the Juneteenth celebration?
I will move to approve the Juneteenth celebration.
All right. I have a motion by Vice Mayor Urban. Before I move on, anybody else from the council? No. Anybody else from the audience? We're good. Motion by Vice Mayor Urban. Do I have a second?
Second.
Vice Mayor.
To you guys, this is the 4th of July celebration. It's going to be occurring on July 3rd, which is a Saturday. Prior to the 4th, we've always done it that way. We've always had it on a Saturday in years going past. Again, thanks to Vice Mayor Urban, I'm going to turn it over to him. He's the Chair of Public Affairs for public events coming back after the crazy COVID years that we've had. Vice Mayor Urban.
All right, so July 4th, 2021 in El Portal is going to be celebrated as a village on July 3rd. So that's going to be July 3rd from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Nature Trail. Keep people similar to how truck possibly. Sounds like the El Portal Women's Club will likely set up a table to do some ice cream and desserts. So we're looking at the Nature Trail with something like, say, like horseshoes and karaoke contest. You know, so it's just gonna, and we'll certainly look to be getting back to that format for the following year. But this year we're still going to be looking at following. We're planning.
This is not something that we have to vote on as a council, you guys. It's already been budgeted, so all right. It's already an existing event. Next is
now is most likely a date, something like a 10 a.m. to noon, or 10 a.m. to noon on that Saturday, to that day. But I will navigate that if needed, and with it being virtual, that could help out a great deal too. So this is really just going to be. Yes, the county puts out a great deal of information. Yes, the state does as well. But we do have a local expert right here in El Portal by the name of Hugh Gladwin, even won Citizen of the Year recently. And he has a phenomenal website that, if you haven't checked it out, gives incredible amounts of information on El Portal specifically. It is definitely looking like it put together essentially the materials. I've already said they will be available. So it'll just be a quick 2-hour tutorial on everything that you need to do to be prepared for the hurricane season. Date and time, 2-hour slot.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Urban. Anybody else from the council, any questions or comments about the hurricane? All right, I'm seeing none. On 3, Camilla, you probably want to come up also for this. I know we have to read this into the record. Madam Clerk, Mr. Attorney, do you want to read this into the record, or do you want the clerk to do it?
An ordinance of the Village of El Portal, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 24 Zoning and Land Development Code, Section 24-22, Other General Regulations, Part 1, Swales, providing for updated swale maintenance regulations, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflicts, repeal or severability, codification, and an effective date. One drafting note, Mayor and Council. In the drafting of this, my recollection was not the same as some other people's recollection. I had thought that on a not quite emergency basis, but on an urgent basis, that the discussion was that you were only going to ban gravel and P-rock in the short term and would address other swale regulations later, but other people recalled that the discussion was about just leaving it only grass and other vegetative material, and that's what I went ahead and put in front of you and drafted, but that excludes, for instance, pavers. So I just want to point out to you that it's drafted to be only grass or live vegetative material, excluding pavers and artificial turf and things like that. Perhaps my recollection was incorrect. I had thought that in the short term it was only gravel and P-rock. That is not what's before you. So, with that said.
Councilperson Martin, before we turn it over to Camilla from Serbia, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for bringing this forward, Councilperson Martin. It came out of your committee, which is the Planning and Zoning, so if you wanted to head up this discussion, you may.
Sure. I have a similar recollection to Mr. Attorney. Do we have the minutes that we can review? Because I do recall that being the case.
No, not at this particular time, Councilperson Martin. We don't have the minutes for that because that was a committee meeting that recently happened.
Okay.
So we don't have the minutes yet. But no matter what was passed, that day, it was passed to full council. So here we can discuss and decide how we want it to look. We don't have to pass in the same way that however it was passed from committee. We can decide right now what we want in it, what we want out, and how we want to shape it.
So I will say.
Discretion of council.
So I will say that your comment, pardon me, I forgot your last name, but definitely brought up something to me, which is that what is the plan for persons who already have this material in their swale, pavers and other things? Do we know what the plan is to bring them into compliance if we were to pass this item? Is there a cutout that exempts them from it? How does that work?
The swales, good evening, council. Sorry, Camila Sabla, Serbia Design. The swales that already have any of these materials will be grandfathered in, as are similar situations in the properties that don't comply with other parts of the code that existed prior to its adoption. However, anyone who wishes to improve their swale after the adoption of the ordinance, we, from the planning and zoning, from the zoning perspective, we always encourage for all improvements to get closer to what the code requires after adoption. But any swale that includes the materials listed here, and of course, like Mayor Nickerson said, we can discuss it here if there's something that the council does not agree on, but those swales would be grandfathered in.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that is at least good to know, that we aren't necessarily passing something tonight that's going to be a great financial burden to someone overnight. As it relates to the paver issue, I definitely want to open it up to see what the other members of the council feel. However, for me, I think I would need some more information about exactly why we are removing pavers. I know that it's a issue about permeability, but just looking at maybe some other municipalities and seeing whether or not they have those restrictions present as well. I know for the gravel and the P-rock, those two becoming a projectile and the liability that it entails, those things I definitely am for restricting that in the swale. The additional items, I would need some more information. But let me open it up to everyone else to see how you guys feel and if you share that trepidation.
Let me just jump in here real quick, Councilperson Martin, if I may. I just want to say two things really quickly for us to keep in mind. First of all, this is an ordinance. This is the first reading. Therefore, there has to be a second reading. So this will come back before the council. This is an ordinance, and it's the first reading. Okay, so it will come back before the council for a second reading to solidify it to be in place, absolute place. And another thing that I have is kind of like a question. I know that, for example, we could, if somebody had, the items before, this goes into place, and becomes effective, that they'll be grandfathered in. How do we, just in a logical term, or logistical is even a better word, in a logistical term, how do we do that, and how do we decide that? Because I would think that for us to know which properties have it currently, I would think that for us to know which properties have it currently, and therefore which properties got it after this went into effect, we would have to go around and look at the properties, correct? So we would have to, this is just me thinking out loud, I would think that our code enforcement officer would need, because she's doing her normal, code enforcement violations and stuff, so I would figure that she would need, a couple of weeks, a month or something like that, to go around, mark the properties that currently have it, so that we know they were grandfathered in, so that somebody doesn't come to us 6 months from now who wasn't grandfathered in, and then they tell us, oh, but I was grandfathered in, I had it before this went. We have to know which properties actually have it, so we need time for our code enforcement officer to go around and mark those properties that would be grandfathered in. So this might not, so even if it passes the first, which would be tonight, the first reading, even the second reading, we have to figure out a time frame and give our code enforcement officer the time to be able to go around and do that also, before this would actually take effect. I just wanted to put that out for just to be in everybody's mind. Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin.
Anyone else have a? Councilman Lightfoot Ward.
Thank you very much.
This is just first reading tonight.
Concern, yes? What if they already have it out there? Yes, there would have to be a survey of who already has it there. And then, is it fair to understand that it can't be removed once it's there? Is that the understanding? Talk to me, somebody.
If it can certainly be removed, the thing would be, if you have gravel now and we pass the ordinance, you get to keep it because it's already there. If you remove it, you can do that. But if you then say, gee, I like the gravel better, you can't put it back because the ordinance doesn't allow anybody to have new gravel. Mm-hmm. Now, with pavers, there's a big variety. You have pavers that are basically just like practically solid bricks.
Mm-hmm.
Those will interfere with percolation. But there are pavers that, are not completely solid. There are pavers that are solid on the outside and have, spaces or holes or whatever you want to call it in between that do allow for percolation. So perhaps the way we have it drafted is not entirely clear, depending on what your intention is. Obviously, you want to discourage asphalt because there's nothing that's less likely to allow that, simply won't allow percolation. The point is that you have a whole variety of things. I do recall we were very clear about the gravel and P-rock, because as Councilperson Martin says, those are projectiles, and those are dangerous and could take somebody's eye out. And you want to permit percolation. The question of, does artificial turf permit percolation of water? Maybe somebody knows better than me. But I think there are some that do and some that don't. It depends on which one it is. You can install something that does allow, drainage. We have a consistent problem that Councilperson Perella has focused on with me about the flooding caused by runoff from swales that creates potholes at some intersections. So obviously we don't want more of that. We're trying to curb that. But exactly what you do and don't want to permit in the future is something that you have to decide in the exercise of your own good judgment and discretion. You don't have to do that tonight. You can simply pass it through on first reading, and you can make those kinds of changes on second reading. Now, you might not have been able to do it the other way, which is why I put it this way. If you'd only said gravel and P-rock on first reading and passed it, you can't really come back on second reading and prohibit a whole bunch of other stuff, because some member of the public can't really see that coming. But where you're proposing on first reading to have all this stuff banned, that's notice to anybody, like the gentleman who showed up tonight. So you certainly have the option on second reading of banning less things if you came back on second reading and said, well, we're going to allow pavers or artificial turf if they permit water to percolate. The rest of it stays banned. Or maybe, I don't know what you want to do about mulch. I mean, you've got, mulch can be messy, but whatever you want to do. The point is, you could pass this on first reading, which is why I drafted it broadly, and you can tighten it up when you get to second reading. You can have a month to think about it, talk about it, send a memo, whatever you want to do, consistent with the sunshine, of course. So as far as just the only other thing to comment on, you could certainly have the code enforcement officer or police officers or public works do a survey. You do have other tools. I mean, there are some aerial photographs that, would probably to some degree show things. If you have somebody with just a bunch of white P-rock, that's going to show, and if there are recent aerial photographs, which frequently there are, I'm not sure how frequently those are updated, but you do have, it's not strictly that you're at somebody's mercy if they're telling you the truth, whether they have it. You can somehow demonstrate these things, but you certainly could do a survey. So if there are other questions, I'm happy to ask them. Bottom line is, it's committed to your sound discretion what you want to do, and if you want to pass it on first reading, you can still narrow it when you get to next month.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
having been one that put down P-rock because of erosion of mine, I'm growing grass now. And that was the intent for putting down the P-rock, because it does percolate. But when I saw it listed here, I didn't want to get all bent out of shape and whatnot. I just wanted to know if there was, like you just said, there's an opportunity to adapt it. But the reason I put down P-rock, yes, it looked like a driveway when I first did it. And I told folks, no, it's not a driveway. It's to help to stop the erosion, because the dirt's flowing onto the street, and grow the grass. Well, that was 3-4 years ago. I'm growing grass now. I can hardly tell the P-rock is there, but it stopped the erosion, and that in itself is why I put it down. I didn't even know it was a restriction or it wasn't a restriction. I just knew I didn't want all that part of my yard not to be there anymore. And the trees are planted right where it's just shy of where the trees were planted. The P-rock was placed near the street to stop the runoff, and it worked. I mean, that was an old thing that my 98-year-old father taught us. So when I saw it there, I thought, well, we're just going to have to act a little civil and see if we can't. And Joe, you said, Mr. Attorney, you said the right thing. We can look at it and cut and paste some of this, but it is broad. for me to think about. So I started thinking about it, and I said, I'm guilty. I'm guilty, but it grew my grass. And that's all I wanted. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilperson Lightfoot. Councilperson Martin, back to you. I mean, anybody, I'm letting you run this question. This was
I
your
have one
item.
more thing. Is there, Camila, this is a question for you. Is there any way that you can give us an idea of which one of these materials have the ability to allow the water to percolate, which ones completely don't? And if you have any examples of like what they look like in the swale that you could just kind of send to us or circulate to us before the next meeting?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Before, yes, we can work on that.
Councilperson Martin, is it your stance, would you like us to look to pass for first reading with and then get the information, and the second reading we'll have a more in-depth?
For sure. You would be the one to do that, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. I think so.
Thank you. I just want to be able to make sure I'm doing, what you guys want to do. All right. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance for first reading, the swell ordinance?
I will move to approve the ordinance.
Moved by Vice Mayor Urbom. Do I have a second?
Second. Got one. Give it to her.
Second by Councilperson Martin, or was it Councilperson Martin? Right. Second by Councilperson Martin. Before we do the actual roll call vote, Madam Clerk, is there anybody on Zoom? Full Moon? We're good. Anybody out there? Any more? Yeah, if you can come on up and say what you have to say before we vote. Say your name and address for the record again, please.
My name is Philip Longobardi. I live at 194 Northwest 91st Street. Just to clarify, from my understanding, that if someone has a pre-existing portion of their swale with any of the items mentioned on it now, that would be grandfathered in. They couldn't be cited for it later or anything like that.
100%.
Okay, cool. I realize how contradictory what I'm about to say is, but I thought about this a lot before I came over here. Whether it's beautification, whether you guys haven't mentioned it, but it's stopping, streets lined with cars, which is not a great thing, probably for a million reasons. I think this is a really great thing. The reason I wanted to come here and say something about it, and even, you guys have actually spoken to it already, is just how absolute the language of that thing was. That scares me, because, regardless of your intent now, when language is law, or whatever the word for it is, so when that ordinance is in place, it's just hardcore. And there's just so much nuance to it. I live in a house built in the 30s that's on a double lot. I have 160 feet of frontage. And when friends came over, they would park their cars on my grass, and the heat of their engine would kill my lawn. So next to the entrance of my driveway, right at the edge of my property, I put a little 15-foot piece that's gravel. My lawn isn't dead 6 months out of the year. And I've got that little bit of overflow for cars, and it is gravel that does, I've never seen water collect there. I think somebody with a smaller frontage or a house that maybe has more cars. I'm babbling, so I'm gonna stop talking, but I think the main thing that I wanted to say is I just think there's nuance here, and you're passing an absolute, and that's the reason I wanted to come and say this. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Longobardi. We appreciate it. And that's why we'll have a second reading, and we'll iron out all the final details with the second reading with all the extra information that we'll get for knowledge and education. I do have a motion. I have a second. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Perella.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Urbom.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Again, this is just the first reading, you guys. It will be a second reading. Moving on. Yes.
Before we move on, I do want to just give one other thought to the members of the council. It's unusual. I can't remember having done this before, but we have a considerable amount of leeway and a considerable diversity of thought. There is nothing improper if any member of council, after getting information or thinking about it or whatever, sends something to the clerk as a public record, so it's open to the public. It's not a violation of sunshine. But if any member of council wants to send something to the clerk, who of course copy the manager and myself, and propose an amendment to the ordinance prior to the meeting on second reading, you're permitted to do that. Nobody has to. We can just discuss it at the next meeting. But if somebody, you know, thinks about it and gets some information from Ms. Zabla and says, you know, I think I got an idea how I want to do this, and you want to send a proposed amendment, we will be able to consider it on second reading, and perhaps that will help somebody or more than one of you focus your thoughts on it. Just an opportunity.
Okay.
All right. Are you saying, Attorney Geller, just for clarification, are you saying that if somebody has an idea for an amendment, they send it to the clerk sends it out to the rest of us prior to the meeting?
The clerk can put that in the agenda so it would
Okay.
go out to
Just
the
making sure.
public at the
Alright.
same time it went to all the members.
Okay, kinda nervous
It can be
there. All right.
shared with the manager and I,
Yeah.
but as long as the public gets it at the same time the members do when the agenda is published, the clerk in publishing the agenda can say, proposed amendment from councilperson so-and-so, proposed amendment from councilperson so-and-so. That'll give you guys the opportunity to focus your thoughts and still comply with sunshine and keep the public fully informed. So nobody has to do that, just an opportunity you might want to consider.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I just wanted the clarification, and for the record, I wanted the clarification that we're talking about doing amendments, sending them in, and then when the agenda is published, those amendments are in the agenda. I didn't want to make it seem like somebody sends an amendment and the clerk sends it out to everybody. Somebody else answers that amendment with a different amendment. They send it out like we're doing like the council, you know, over email before the actual meeting. I just wanted to make sure that clarification. That's all. All right, you guys. Moving on to ordinance I-2. This is the code amendment for alcohol beverages. We already passed the first reading at the last council meeting. This is the second reading. This one right here, you guys, was the ordinance about allowing businesses to be able to sell alcoholic beverages in their location, because currently the way that everything reads for El Portal, or the way it reads for El Portal, is that because of Big Daddies, for example, the Cavista development that's going up, the skate park that's going up, all these other smaller businesses, they can't sell wine, they can't sell champagne, they can't sell any alcoholic beverages because Big Daddies is there and El Portal is so small that the distance doesn't allow them to. So what this would do right here is get rid of those distance restrictions so that we could have little cafes in El Portal and other little businesses like that can sell, you know, wine and cheese and things like that the residents of El Portal might like. This is what this ordinance does in a nutshell. Can you please read the ordinance into the record, Attorney Geller?
An ordinance of the Village of El Portal, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 3, Alcoholic Beverages, Section 3-3, Distance Restrictions between licenses, providing for updated distance restrictions, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflicts, repeal or severability, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you very much.
Second reading.
Thank you very much. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, Camilla, but also this gets rid of that restriction, but individual businesses still have to come before the council.
Yes, correct,
So,
because of the use.
because of the use,
and
so,
performance.
yeah, absolutely. So, so even though you guys, we're getting rid of this restriction, there's another stopgap for our community to where the individual businesses still have to come before the Village of El Portal. Anybody from the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilperson.
as I
Michael.
read the information for itself, I'm thinking, and I'm just talking out loud since you asked, whereas the village finds that the proposed project has met the standards, is that the one for alcohol, right? And conditions for approval of a special exemption set forth, requirements and procedures for site plan and special exemptions for the village code, is that gonna be it, and all these section
I think that
ones?
one's number 3.
Am I a little bit ahead of myself? It says alcoholic beverages, second
They're
reading.
both, but I think what you're reading is number 3, the one about the skate park specifically.
This one, no, So, if I'm wrong, then those section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are out of line, and that's the way it lines up on the paperwork that I got. Am I out of line? Because I gave a lot of thought to this amendment. It's long, and that's what made me kind of put the old college hat on to make sure that I was looking at it properly.
Yeah, I think you're.
Speak up, because I didn't like that either, but I saw it, and it had these sections to it. And if I'm wrong, then you tell me, but I'm just going by what I have here, looking at it on the computer. It says what it says.
No, I mean, with the.
Yeah, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, I believe you're looking at the package, the resolution package that that the village clerk sent out, but she sent out different packages, because this one is on a different package, because this is the second reading of something we've already voted on and passed in first reading. So it was in a different package, but it was part of the email that she sent out, though. It was part of the entire agenda package.
Oh,
I think what you're reading, I could be wrong, but I think what you're reading is I-3.
No, I-3, for this one, it says I-2. I mean, I'm looking at the same thing everybody else is looking at. I'm not
looking at it, so I'm the one who's wrong here.
This first one was for the swells, talking about Zone 3. The second one says it's for the, I'm looking at it on the computer and in my hand. The resolution, the El Patel, special exception, alcohol beverages. That's the very second one.
I-2 is not a resolution.
It's an ordinance.
I-2 is an ordinance.
Okay.
I think, I'm reading I-3, a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Patel, Florida, granting special exception for an alcoholic beverage service establishment within the approved recreational facility. Is that what it says? Is that what's in front of you?
No. Okay, let me stand corrected and move this meeting on forward, because, okay.
Let me take it. Let me see what you're looking at, because I don't have it.
While they do that, any other comments from the council about this one?
Okay, let me show you something.
Councilperson Martin, you good? While they're doing that, anybody, how we looking on Zoom? We're good? Anybody from the audience about this? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the second reading while we're doing that? Do I have a motion to approve the second reading?
I will move to approve the second reading.
Motion moved by Vice Mayor Urban. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilperson Perrella. We'll wait for discussion from Councilperson Lightfoot. Bring them in, yes.
Hi, I'm just curious. What was the old distance and what's the new distance?
Go ahead if you want to.
Okay, so the way it read previously was that no establishment selling alcohol could be within a half mile of another establishment selling alcohol. And as new developments are coming online, the sanctuary was under, looking for approval to become a restaurant, for example, and is again. The Cavista project is going to be mixed use down on 83rd Street in the annex section of El Portal. And then, as you'll see in the next resolution, Skatebird Miami is also seeking a beverage license, beer and wine, I believe, so that they can provide adult beverages at their facility. So the way it read previously was that anybody within a half a mile of someone else selling alcohol could not also sell alcohol, so that there would not be, a liquor store on every corner kind of a thing. Well, Big Daddy's is an interesting and bizarre scenario, because the building itself is in El Portal and the parking lot is not. But their license resides with the building, and so there is an alcoholic beverage license already in existence at that location at Big Daddy's Liquor Store. And so almost all of El Portal is within a half mile of that location. So the way the ordinance read before was that essentially it almost creates a monopoly where only Big Daddies could operate with a beverage license. So what we're doing in anticipated development commercially and socially within El Portal is to change that ordinance so that other businesses would be able to be correct within the law to obtain their beverage licenses for their small cafes, bars, things like that. So we don't anticipate that there's going to be a liquor store opening on every corner. And this is really to facilitate kind of the next phase of commercial development in El Portal. In a nutshell, there you have it.
And remember, Vice Mayor Urban, even if another business comes, like the skate park, which is the next item, which is the resolution, even though this would pass through, every individual business that wants to do this still has to come before council, even if this passes through.
Yeah, so there will still be safeguards against, something like a nightclub showing up or, things like that. So the council will still have a good deal of control over who actually would get those variances for the beverage licenses.
And can you please, ma'am, say one last time your name and address for the record so we have it on record?
Jessica Cooper, 255 Northeast 89th Street. I was just more curious. So, in a nutshell, there is no distance restriction anymore.
Yeah, it's going to from 2,500 feet to 300 feet. That's what we're changing.
Okay, well, and it was very interesting about the building and the parking lot. It's comical. Well, thank you for answering my random question. Appreciate it.
Don't worry about it. All questions are good. We appreciate you being here. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
My assistant may have them backwards in what was sent out, but we've identified the one with the address is item 3. So we're on item 2, which is the ordinance.
Thank you very much. We do have a motion. We have a second. Anybody else on Zoom? We're good on Zoom? Okay. We had a motion. We had a second. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Ward. Councilperson Perella.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Urbom.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We're going on to I3, you guys. This is the resolution. So just like we just got finished saying, even though this just passed second reading, every individual business still has to come back before council to get their individual approval for this, and this is the first one, which is the skate park, you guys. The skate park that's going right back over, that's going to be built right back over there. It's going to be a wonderful place, and they do want to be able to sell alcoholic beverages, wine, champagne, and things like that, beer and stuff like that. Can you please read the resolution to the record, Attorney Geller?
Yes, sir, and just, Dr. Ward, this is the one that you had been looking at and may have been out of order for whatever reason, but this is the one that you were reading from. It's the one that has the specific address of this specific property. So, I3, a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Florida, granting special exception for an alcohol beverage service establishment within the approved recreational facility at 533 Northeast 83rd Street in Zone 5, Urban Center Zone, in the Village of El Portal, known as Skate Park, on application by the Deck Miami LLC, providing for findings, providing for conditions, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much, Attorney Geller. I appreciate it. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, since you wanted to speak on this one last time, we'll start with you. Is that a motion? Thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Motion made by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. Any other further discussion from the Village Council before I move to the audience?
Just as a technical note, Mayor, for the record, this one is a this
Resolution.
one is the one that's the reso, so it's a motion to approve the reso.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Anybody from the audience? How we looking on Zoom? We look good on Zoom? Good on Zoom. How about out here? Any questions, comments? Hearing none, sending it back to the council. I do have a motion and do have a second. Do I have a second? Councilperson Martin, second. Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Ward. Councilperson Perella. Yes. Vice Mayor Urbom.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We're moving on to I-4, you guys. This is an ordinance. This is the second reading. This is the a code amendment for building department fees. Now, the amount that we're going to discuss. Remember, so this is the second reading for the ordinance, just to be able to open that up. All right. As far as the amount, that will not be discussed tonight. No, this is the building permit fee. Oh, this is building permit.
Fees,
I'm
yeah.
getting ahead of myself. That's I-5. All right. I-4, building permit, code amendment for building department fees. Second reading. So you guys, this is Mr. Genius here. This right here is so we put in place the building permit fees for all of these commercial developments that are now coming to El Portal, so that we get the correct amount of money from the permit fees. So that's what that is.
Mayor, let me read it before the gentleman
Yes.
speaks. This is
Read
what
that
we
into
call
the-
the I-4 corridor.
Yes, indeed. That's exactly
An
what it
ordinance
is.
of the Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Florida, amending the building department fee rates, approving the new building department fee schedule per the fee comparison study, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, repealer, severability, and an effective date. And I want to just myself comment how much work our building official, Mr. Jean, put in on this to get it to this point.
Thank you very much, Mr. John. Definitely, you did a wonderful job. We've been through this, you guys. Are there any questions or comments from the council for Mr. John? Hearing none.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yes,
am I
Councilperson.
the only one looking at the wrong stuff? Because it's not here. This thing is not here. Second reading on building department fees,
Yeah.
I-4.
Yeah, that's what we're.
Okay, I-4, when I look in here, I don't see it. I don't see I-4. I see the short version, this,
Okay,
but I don't see,
Then you
I'm
have to-
studying these things. I don't
let me-
see,
I'm sorry, let me.
what page are you on? I
where's
don't
the-
mind standing
where's the
out there,
email-
y'all.
Where's the email for the village clerk?
Doesn't matter, I'm on the,
Yeah, but no, you have to go to another setup.
Anybody from the audience have any questions or comments about the building department fees, the permit fees adjustment? We're good? Anybody out there? We're good? Thank you very much, Camilla. Thank you. Thank you. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Hearing none, do I have a motion to pass the building department fees, permit fees?
I will move to approve this.
Thank you very much. Moved by Vice Mayor Urbon. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilperson Martin. We'll wait for a comment from
Ordinance.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Mr. Mayor, I thank my, my colleague here. So, I thank my colleague, Councilman Perella, because that's what the people are looking at. They're not looking at an email that was sent. And I had no idea about an email because I never got it. So I apologize to everyone, but if this is what the public's looking at, We need to be concerned.
Well,
We'll try to make sure that that gets remedied for the next time. If there's some issue with that, you know, we put something out late Friday to the clerk, and hopefully we can get it out a little earlier next time, and that may enable it to be sent around a little more quickly, and we'll make sure that what is sent to the council is also what is published, so that anybody can find it. I think it's there somewhere, but it may be that it got a little jumbled in order, and that makes it a little difficult to locate. This is an unusually long and complicated agenda.
I appreciate that. I guess I won't be participating very actively today, because I don't have the information. But thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Can I clarify one? Dr. Lightfoot Ward, are you asking like where the actual schedule of the new fees that we're actually voting on is?
It's an email that I didn't get, so it's okay. I know I'm
Well,
behind the eight ball right now.
Well, like for example, the email that we had received with the attachments did not have the full, like the email that we got with the attachments did not have the full list of updated fees. That all was in documents from previous committee meetings. Yep. Mm-hmm. I thought I had it back. Almost.
Now you're talking too much. See, I was satisfied just to be the one that didn't have everything. Now you're telling me you didn't get it, huh? Oh, well, we apologize. This is what really happened. Come on, don't do that. We're gonna have a good time here. We're not gonna have a bad time.
I got the email blast from, this is my personal email, not
Your
the-
personal email.
Yeah, and they're all there.
Yep. But I don't do my personal email for this.
No, that's from the village. I'm registered
All
working for
right,
the village.
I got you.
And so I
I
also
got you.
get the email blast from, and it's right here. So the residents had to have it, if I got it.
I didn't get it. So it's good. Everybody's due 3 strikes. That's just one, and it's not against me. Thank you, Mayor, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Appreciate it.
Did anybody get it? Because
I
Yeah.
also got it.
All right.
everybody got it. Okay.
I got it.
I had your computer, that's why you probably didn't get it.
It's all good. I ain't even gonna try to be upset.
Okay.
It's all good.
Thank you, guys. We have a motion, we have a second on the table for the building department permit fees. Madam Clerk, any more discussion? Anybody on Zoom? We're good on Zoom? Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Perella.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Erbaum.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on to ordinance I-5, you guys, this is the Code Amendment Public Benefits Trust Fund. Thank you very much, Mr. Jean. Take care. Have a great night. Thank you. Code Amendment for the Public Benefits Trust Fund. This is what I was starting to speak on earlier. This is the second reading for this. We've been over this a number of times. This just pretty much opens up everything so that we're able to start to move in to do things. The actual, and this was what leads into that special meeting that we have to have on June 8th. Hopefully, and the reason why I keep saying June 8th because June 8th, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk, June 8th is the earliest with all the advertising that we have to do. June 8th is the earliest we could possibly have a meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what I'm working on now.
And so the actual discussion and debate about the actual amount would happen in a resolution on June 8th. Okay, this right here is a second reading for us to be able to open up to have that second part. It's like phases, right? This is like phase 1. The discussion of the actual amount is like phase 2. So this is what opens up to actually have that second discussion on June 8th. Mr. Attorney, if you can, when you get a chance, just read I-5 into the record.
Let me just say, the amount would actually be, as you say, by resolution, but that'll come at the regular June 22nd meeting.
I thought that needed
It has to, we have to have two
to advertise,
of the,
2 readings.
yes, of the public hearings
Yeah,
for the amendment to the development agreement. That'll be second reading and second public hearing at June 22nd, and we'll have the resolution immediately after that's adopted.
But what I'm saying is, I did want to make the point, though, we need to have the June 8th, because we need to have at least that first reading as soon as possible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, all right. We're on the same page.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, I appreciate that.
I-5, an ordinance of the Village of Alberta amending ordinances 2019-06, 2019-07, and 2019-08 relating to the Public Benefits Trust Fund, allowing additional lawful uses for funds contributed to the Public Benefits Trust Fund, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflicts, repeal or severability, codification, and an effective date.
Are there any questions or comments by the council, you guys? All right, this is second reading. What about, how we looking on Zoom? Thumbs up out there? We good? Questions, comments? Yes, come up and say your name and address for the record.
Hi, it's Philip Longobardi, 194 Northwest 91st Street. I wanted to say one thing. I did have a very brief comment, but I wanted to say one thing first, that, I subscribe to the village emails, and I get the attachments and all of that stuff. But this is a good example where I really couldn't figure out what the Public Benefits Trust Fund was. And please don't hate me, because I'm not trying to give somebody else work.
You're fine.
But I was going to make the suggestion that I think that certain things might require like just normal language description. Trying to understand what those PDFs and what they mean. If you're not a lawyer or you don't have a good understanding of how local government works, it can be really hard to understand certain things. And that's why I was apologizing, because I'm not sure who's going to end up doing that if you guys want to. But it might be, whether it's on the website or in those emails, to just have some very simple, plain language with a disclaimer that it's not legal or something. I just wanted to make that statement. So the thing I was going to say, which I'm saying having no idea what I'm talking about, because I probably misunderstand the Public Trust Fund, was just per what I said before about, there being a limitation on things that happen. I've seen the charrettes happen twice, and to my understanding, very little ever actually gets implemented from the charrettes. If these are fun, the simple way to say this is that if this ordinance in some way is taking money that could be used for the betterment of the village and channeling it into operational expenses, as much as I support the police and other things, I personally would not want to see that happen. But I might really misunderstand what it is. And I don't know if it's possible for me to do this, but can I make a very brief statement about I-8, even though it's later in the agenda, just so I can go?
No, not at this time. You had the good and welfare is to cover everything itself, and then now we're on each individual item.
That's okay.
But we're going to breeze through it, though.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You want me to take a crack at?
I was going to
Yeah,
Vice President Urban, if you want to go ahead.
Sure. So, yes, that is certainly apparent, that issue of feeling like you're walking into a situation, not sure what the background on it is, what the actual concrete meaning of it is, and what the consequences of that are, right, with some of the language. On this particular matter, it's also been difficult for us as the council to figure out this specific matter as well, so don't feel bad that way. I'll try and keep it as concise as possible. What this is, we did not have a public trust before, but now that we have commercial development coming online through development fees, we have essentially now an avenue to create a public trust for El Portal. The idea behind that was to bolster parks and green spaces. And then the discussion when it originated was, well, can any of those funds be used for anything outside of specifically parks and green spaces? And so in terms of what we're trying to accomplish now is realization that there will be money available to fill critical needs that we have. So just without mincing words, with our police department, we're short on equipment, we're short on personnel. The equipment scenario is absolutely crisis status. It has to be addressed, or we will lose good officers going to places where they can find better conditions to be working in. And so El Portal is not in a situation where we have a glut of money going to the police department, and there's a discussion of whether or not some of that funding should be reallocated or otherwise withdrawn. We in El Portal are in a scenario that is quite openly and clearly a little bit more dire in that we have a short, like, we're short on funds for our police department. And so the discussion around this is to essentially make our police department whole, the truth is, once we accomplish this, we'll still have a sizable task list, a punch list of things that will still be needed to get our police department up to where they should be. So while other larger municipalities are having a discussion of whether or not they should cut back, we are very actively trying to solve a problem of how do we make our police department whole right now. So in a nutshell, going back well over a year in terms of discussions around these fees, this is where we arrive at today. So even in that discussion, there's 2 council members before you, myself and the mayor, who've been here for at least 2 years or longer, and there's 3 council persons here who've been here for less. And that discussion, this discussion precedes 3 council persons sitting on the council now. So you shouldn't feel bad if you're feeling a little bit discombobulated on this one. It's a large onion with a bunch of pieces. So what I did when I joined the council is I went back and started watching our YouTube videos of old committee meetings and council meetings to try and find my place as a council person within the committee discussions and things like that, specifically as we were talking about this too. So I'll leave it at that unless anyone would like me to talk further.
Just a little comment on that one. I do, despite all of that, I do understand that there's a lot of people who don't have the hours necessary to go back and watch all of that video. So I do think we need to actively be looking at ways that we can effectively communicate in short form to the community so that it doesn't take you coming out, because I know you're busy, and you have things you'd like to do besides, probably sit here. So one of the things that I'm exploring is creating an Instagram page where you could get quick bites of like what happened at last night's council meeting or what is coming up at the council meeting. And I think that might be something that's effective to communicate with those who are social media savvy. But I do think we always need to continue to fine tune how we're communicating to our residents so that you don't have the feeling that you currently feel. So that's noted. A lot of things you said today were very helpful and I've taken notes on, and they're action items for me on how I can be better and better serve you. So please feel free to keep in touch. My email is on the website. Reach out to me as soon as you email me. I'll respond back. I have 2 rambunctious young kids, but at nighttime I'm really prolific, so you might get an email from me at midnight. But yeah, if there's something that you have a question about, 9 times out of 10 someone else has that question, so you giving me the question lets me know that might be something that I need to act on and fine tune. So I appreciate the comments.
Thank you very much, you guys. Anybody else from the council for any questions or comments about the Public Benefits Trust Fund? All right. Anybody else from the audience? How are we looking on Zoom? All right. Let me just say for the record, you guys, that the original development agreement did include police. It included the police. Because these new properties that are going up, it's going to be an impact on the village of El Portal, and we don't have impact fees in place. So these development funds helps out the village. We're going to be getting like 300 new residents once the Cavise development goes up, and it's going to be up soon enough. And so the original development agreement listed the police department. Then it was changed by the previous council, some members of the previous council. They changed it to say only park development. We need to take care of our police officers, especially with 300 new residents coming in. All right. So the original one did say police department. It was changed later. Did we do a motion? And we did a motion in a second, correct? No. Now for this one, please have a motion on.
I will move to approve this ordinance.
Moved by Vice Mayor Urban. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilperson Martin. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson
Yes.
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 To none.
Thank you. Appreciate that, you guys. Again, we'll have to tackle June 8th. If that will be okay in everybody's schedule. The clerk will send out an email about that. Next is I-6, the resolution, you guys. Resolution for the Enterprise Leasing Alberta Police Department Fleet Replacement Program. Mr. Attorney, if you can please read that resolution into the record, please.
I-6, a resolution of the Mayor and Village of, Council of the Village of Alberta, Miami-Dade County, Florida, authorizing the village manager to enter into the Enterprise Leasing Alberta Police Department Fleet Replacement Program Agreement, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
All right, you guys have had the documents. Madam Manager, if you want to speak on it.
I'll keep it quick, pretty brief. I did provide everyone just a report about what is entailed with the fleet leasing plan, as well as the contract, the numbers. They're all before you in this item. I also have Jesus Granadillo, who's a representative from Enterprise Leasing here. He's worked along with our lieutenant and chief and myself for about a year now on these numbers and just trying to assist us. But the plan is to do 7 car leases just to start the plan up. We still have some vehicles we will continue to utilize, but the others will all be taken away by Enterprise. So we're very happy to get rid of our vehicle graveyard and start utilizing that space for things we need. I would love to see our officers in cars that are functioning and befitting officers of the Village of El Patel. If this order is made today, and I hope that it will be, or by tomorrow, the cars must be outfitted with the proper equipment. We're looking at doing Dodge Chargers, and they will be outfitted and striped and hopefully ready by early fall. So it wouldn't be an immediate purchase because it takes a little bit of time, but we are very excited to get this item passed by you all. And if you have any questions, Mr. Granadillo is here, and I'm here as well.
Thank you very much, Madam Manager. Any questions or comments from the council?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Councilperson Martin. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, sorry.
I'm your twin. I just want to commend the staff for putting together an excellent packet. I was very much moved by all the honesty in the emails. The resolution is asking us to approve section 1, 2, 3. Again, I was moved by the letter from the Police Benevolence Association. Not pretty. We are not fighting it. We know we need a better fleet of vehicles. We know that. The note, letters, memos from Chief, you're good to have allowed the staff to put their thoughts on paper and give it to the manager. I was very much moved by Lieutenant Mendez and Officer Lopez, and I commend you, Chief, for doing that because that shows your humanitarian side. If I had to do so, Mayor, I would immediately not want to belabor the issue and propose that we adopt this resolution and move forward with what we know we need, not what we know we want, not anything that we've ever just wanted, but what we need.
Very well said. Thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. I'll take that as a motion. Motion moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Second by Vice Mayor Erbaum. Any more discussion from the council?
I do have a
Yes, go ahead,
discussion
Councilperson
item
Martin.
that I just want to make clear to anyone that will be listening. This expenditure is not to kind of give police officers like fancier, shinier cars. Literally, there are vehicles that are broken down and like not moving. And I think we can all agree that in order to respond to emergency situations, police officers need vehicles. So just want to make that absolutely clear. We're in a dire state. The cars are not functional. We do not have very many for the officers that we have. This is not just something to kind of give our officers something newer. It's a vital part of them executing their day-to-day work. That's it.
Very well said, Councilperson Martin. To back up Councilperson Martin, 19 police vehicles, 4 are operational. 19 police vehicles, 4 are operational. The 4 that are operational aren't even new. They're just operational. So eventually they'll have to be replaced. 19 new, 4 operational. 19 vehicles, 4 operational. So there we go.
I will add one thing.
Go ahead.
Also for the benefit of public watching, this plan that we're entering into with Enterprise is a long-term solution for the long-term maintenance of the fleet. So this is not a one-time let's fix this and then have the same problem in 5 years. This puts us on a path towards having a long-lasting solution for the fleet, including a maintenance program. So,
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Erbaum. Anybody on Zoom? We're good. Anybody in the audience? Any questions, comments? We're good. All right. No last questions or comments from the council. We're going to move right along. We do have a motion and a second, I believe. Correct, Madam Clerk? Yes. No, nothing else. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Ward.
Most definitely.
Councilperson Perella.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Erbaum.
yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
No,
that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this one.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief Sergeant Burrell. Thank you very much, you guys back there. Appreciate it. Next, you guys, we have the Gas Tax Reserves Fund. This is a resolution. Mr. Attorney, if you please read this resolution in the record.
Yes, sir. I-7, resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Patel, Florida, authorizing the village manager to use gas tax reserve funds for the payment of right-of-way tree trimming, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Madam Manager, we'll turn this over to you in a second, you guys. But you guys, the gas tax fund can only be used for certain things. This is one of the things it can be used for. We have a distinct amount in there, and it can only be used for a certain number of things. Madam Manager, if you want to go ahead, and then I'll open it back up to the council. I know you guys might have questions.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. Our CFO, I believe, is on the Zoom just to answer any questions, but the 6 cents gas tax reserve, we have a nice reserve in that fund. That is only allowed, the use is for road repair, sidewalks, and maintenance of right-of-way. So certainly the tree trimming would fit under that umbrella. Presently, we have $15,000 budgeted for that. It is very under budgeted. We've had some issues with our tree trimming landscaper. They have attempted, but it's just too low. And then we had negotiated that price initially with another landscaper who had just really was doing the village a favor and had done some other work with us. But it's not a fair market value for cutting a village this size for $15,000. So we've negotiated to give them a little bit more for the 2020 trimming in the amount of $13,500, just so that there is some fairness to the work that was rendered. And then moving forward, it will be $45,000 annually to do the tree trimming. Now, if we want to continue to trim and take care of our canopy, and I believe we do, we're Tree City USA, and we want to ensure our residents are safe during hurricane season, then we should continue this program that we've been doing. But it really just needs to be funded appropriately. So we have $15,000 already budgeted. I'm asking for another $30,000 to add to this year's portion of the payment, and then I'm asking for the $13,500 for 2020 payment of the tree trimming that was done as well. If you have any questions, I'm here, and I know that Chris Wallace is on the call as well.
Questions, comments from the council? Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
So we're, to the manager, so we're trying to pay a debt that's still on the books for 2020?
Yes, in a way,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
With that in mind, there's a good reason for it. I'm not going to even do that. You're an excellent manager. I'm going to take that for what it is. 2021 now, as I think I mentioned once before, why do we trim every year? We had an arborist come to an actual arborist come to the house to trim ours because they were on our side too big. she didn't just do our side, she did the city side too. Yes, it's a female, and she does a real good job. She's been doing it a long time, learned it from her father, owns the business. Notwithstanding, I question, as a professional, not questioning you, is it necessity that drives us, or is it just something we got used to doing? Because what we were told by our professional arborist who owns the business, tree trimming, is that you only, and let me get kudos to the chief. The police came by and watched her, and they were thumbs up because she was doing it right. Do we have to trim every year? The canopy is mature now. It's not the little trees. Mary, you remember them when they were planted. They're not the little trees anymore. Mine are fully grown and beautiful. I have a shaded front yard finally. Do we have to do it every year, Madam Manager?
We took on I guess, the responsibility of Tree City USA, and we plant every year. Now, we do have mature trees, and those are the ones that we want to protect. They need to be trimmed. Not every tree is going to be trimmed in this tree cutting. This is just for a village-wide review by an arborist to trim those that have overgrown, that could be hazards. It's not them coming in and making things look fancy and nice per, request of, this is not for that. This is a hurricane tree trimming. So every tree won't be trimmed, and maybe next year will be another area that's more, that's more mature and needs a little bit more care. But we want to do it with the arborist so that we can protect the trees that we do have and encourage the continued growth of what we're planting every year. So again, mature trees really need the work as well.
So since the arborist won't be doing the entire village, is his quote comparable to that they are not doing the whole village? Because it sounds like a fee for the whole village.
No, this is for the entire village, but every tree in the village is not going to need to be trimmed.
Okay.
So it's just, but it is for village-wide, right-of-way, only right-of-way. This is not residence homes or anything, but it is in the right-of-way. And I did go, when I got the quote from Orchid Man, who's our landscape contractor and tree, arborist, I also reached out to others. Joe's Trees, which you've seen out here in the community, they do excellent work. He gave me a quote, as well as another company called Big Dog. They also gave me a quote. Joe's and Orchid Man came in at the same price. Big Dog came in at $63,000. I've talked to other agencies. They said we're too small, but that this is about a $60,000 job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Vice Mayor Urban, I think you wanted to say something.
No, just that the monies that we're talking about to make 2020 whole, for 2021, and then going forward, right? Are we saying that there is enough in the gas tax reserve to cover all of those expenditures that you individually spoke about?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And we get, that fund is replenished annually because that's the gas tax. So it's for this, and we should use that funding for the allowed use. We may not be able to pave roads, but we've actually been able to do some of the repairs, and we've used that gas tax. So this is certainly an allowed use, and we have over $275,000 in that fund presently.
Okay, and then this is a once a year pass through, and then I imagine we're aiming for May, June.
We're aiming for the second week of June. It's to line up. They will clip
With
until the end, so bulk can pick it up at the last week of June.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from the council? Nobody else? Zoom, how we looking? Zoom, good. Anybody from the audience? We're good. All right. Do I have a motion to pass the resolution for the gas tax reserve funds for the manager?
So moved.
Moved by, who moved it? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. It's hard, I'm looking. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Urban. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Perella.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Urban.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on, you guys, to resolution, to I-8. It's the Coastal Waste and Recycling, Solid Waste Collection and Disposable Services Agreement. This is simply a contract, Madam Manager, if you want to speak more about it, but this is the contract, you guys, from our waste collectors, Coastal Waste.
Should I read it first?
Yes, read that into the record. Thank you very much, Attorney.
I-8, Solid Waste Collection and Disposal Services Agreement. A resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Florida, approving the solid waste collection and disposal services agreement between the Village of El Portal and Coastal Waste and Recycling, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
I think the manager's done a wonderful job with this one. This was long and quite lengthy and very informative. And all of us that really took a heart to it. So if I were to go forward, I'd say therefore that last verse, for and in consideration of the mutual promises and covenants hereinafter contained to be kept, that the village hereby grants to the contract an exclusive franchise for the residential and commercial collection of garbage, trash, vegetation, and the parties agree to items 1 through 34 as annotated in the resolution. I'll offer that as a motion. Looking for a second.
Thank you very much. Motion by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do we have a second here?
I'll second it.
Second here. Any more questions or comments from the council? Hearing none. How we looking on Zoom? Zoom thumbs up. How we looking out there? Come up, say your name and address for the record.
Philip Longabordi, 194 Northwest 91st Street. And I just wanted to say really briefly, I think in searching for brevity before, I might have misspoken. I am the biggest supporter of El Portal Police, you guys can't believe. I consider it such a luxury of my life that if I call the police, I get people from our community that know us, that understand us. In the rare times I've interacted with the police, their professionalism and kindness, I mean, it's crazy. So I just wanted to, and that they should be funded and that we should have the money to hire smart, competent people just across the board. I just want to say that, so I didn't want,
No problem.
I feel like somehow that came across the wrong way.
No, we understood. We
And
understood
I'm sorry,
totally.
because I know that's off topic.
No,
What
you're
I want
good.
to say is really fast. When I moved here, and we used to get anything we want picked up with our garbage, like they do in Miami Shores. If you had an old bicycle, you had something else, you just put it out and you came and got it. And then about 3 or 4 years after I moved here, they changed their suppliers, and I remember at the time it was kind of a scandal because the city was paying the same amount, and we went to this bulk pickup regime that we have now. And I just have always thought it's awful. I don't understand it. I think you're putting an enormous amount of cost on a homeowner. If a homeowner cuts a bunch of vegetation, they can't leave a pile in their yard. If a homeowner has an old bike, are we suggesting that they can just keep trash around their house until 2.5 more months pass? I just don't understand it. And I'm really sorry, because I know you're probably way down the road on this, and I know I'm probably saying this at the 11th hour, but since I'm standing here, I just really wanted to say this, because I don't think it's a small thing. And if the idea is beautification of our village and service to residents, this is just not a small thing, because everybody's having to pay to have this trash removed, because like I said, you're gonna leave a refrigerator in your front yard for 2 months until bulk pickup day comes. And Miami Shores, conversely, you trim your yard, you put the stuff on the street, and they come get it. And again, I don't remember exactly, but from 3 or 4 years after I moved here, this is the way it was in El Portal, and that the cost did not change. So we got this drastic reduction in service at the time when the village was paying the same amount. So again, I think I'm an 11th hour comment here, but I just wanted to toss that out. And I also wanted to say thank you to all of you, and for the chance to participate in the village and our local government, and I hope you have a great night.
Thank you for everything. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and thank you for all your comments. We really appreciate it. Let me just say for the record, you guys, that I understand what he's saying, but with technology, things like that, seem to be things that may not be able to come back only because, it's easy if you put a bike out, right? So let's say a bike doesn't fit in the trash bin, but let's say, back in the days you put a bike out. Back then, you guys, we used to have men on the back of the trucks, right? So not only could the machine lift up the bin, or even before that, when we were young, the men used to throw the trash in, right? And so if there was a bike, they could throw the bike in. Now there's no men on the back of the trucks. So that machine's just gonna clash that garbage bin and dump it over and keep going. So if there's a bike there, he's not gonna get out of one man's not gonna get out of his truck to go get a bike. So I just think those days are over, and that's why we have bulk pickup that can come by and pick up all those other things. Any other comments or? Oh yes, go ahead, Madam Manager.
I also want to just address, the issue about, I know in other municipalities they have alleys, so it's not in the front yard. Here we don't have that. And to have bulk more often is going to mean this village will look pretty dirty every single month or however often we contract to have the bulk picked up from the front of the yards. So that will diminish the look most certainly for El Patel. Also, when we did the RFP, I did make a request of what it would cost if we did more regular bulk pickup. It was significantly higher. So just in the interest of keeping things as low cost and not adding more, financial responsibility or burden to our residents, we kept the same service that we've had, and we've just had to work with it. And sometimes we do get illegal dumping. In fact, we got a mattress here at Village Hall, someone illegally dumped last week, and we can't get rid of it until we make a special bulk pickup request as well. So, I understand Mr. Londegardi's concerns, but we tried to address them, and I think that we just have to go with the option that fits El Patel at this time. So that's where we are.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Vice Mayor, I think you want to speak. Yes, we have somebody on Zoom. All right, bring them in.
Hi, Jessica
Hello,
Cooper.
just say your name.
I'm learning.
Go ahead.
Jessica Cooper, 255 Northeast 89th Street. So to speak on the topics that have just come about, I am a massive advocate for more frequent bulk pickup. What is going on it's unheard of in another city to only have 4 in a year. The fact that we have Christmas and then we have to hold our Christmas tree for 3 months before we can throw it out or rush to take off all the ornaments, which none of us want to do, is absurd. If the comment is that we're going to have our city looking not as pristine as we would like, I would argue that in reality, our messiness lasts longer and grows. So, to have this broken refrigerator, which Home Depot, $25 takeaway, or to plan even having new appliances installed around bulk pickup is insane, which by the way I did, and then somebody happened to pick it up that wasn't bulk pickup because people like free bicycles. So I don't think that the weekly pickup would ever happen, or it would have happened like Miami Shores. But with the amount of money that we're paying in taxes, with the amount of houses that are being sold, and the more taxes that are going to be given to us to use properly, that should be in consideration. And if you want a small win, but every other month, increase it twice a year, I think that's reasonable. And for the tree trimming that we just said that we're going to spend $45,000 a year, okay, but maybe we could also have to make sure that our home gets trimmed, because last bulk pickup, my neighbor cut the tree and the branch was so far down that my bulk pickup was out there for about a month and a half. So much so that people continued to add to my trash. And the city did nothing because apparently the crane couldn't lift up high enough because the tree was too over the street. So if that is going forward, I would like to make the request that residents should be allowed to add their home to the list of tree trimming. I'm done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to go to Vice Mayor Erbaum, but I just wanted to say I know that Councilperson Perella, in the past, he's made comments about wanting to adjust the bulk pickup because of the holidays and things like that. But Vice Mayor Urban.
Yeah, so the comments I'm going to make are general. They're not directed at anyone or in response to any comments. So in this issue of just garbage collection, right? And so now we have Coastal doing garbage collection and recycling. So we are at a precipice where if we go over the edge, we're going to end up like the opening scene of a movie called Idiocracy with garbage avalanches. And so the gentleman who spoke before reminded me of the reality that, yes, you know, it used to be more lenient on what you could put out because, as the mayor said, there were men on the back of the truck. The trucks were different now that, you know, and so now with, I think people don't realize where their trash goes. And so, you know, I've got friends with high-rise apartments on Miami Beach, and they have beautiful views out to the west, and the sunset is gorgeous. And if you look closely or not that closely, you see mountains in Florida. And so Trash Mountain, right? Trash Mountain. There are no mountains in Florida, but there are trash mountains. This trash has to go somewhere, and that is the reason the containers are now, you can only put something in the containers, because the trash companies are not telling us how dire their situation is of where the trash is going. Recycling doesn't occur anymore because China stopped taking the world's recycling because they told the world they were recycling it, and then they were like, you know what, it's really just filling up our landfills too. So that's not happening anymore. So now that's all moved to Malaysia. Now Malaysia is dealing with a plastic crisis, and we're just shuffling things around. And so things are going to continue to change in the garbage world that are going to become much more restrictive to all people out of necessity, because we've literally scattered our entire planet with garbage. And so that's the garbage scenario and what you can put in a container, right? Now, to bulk pickup, you know, I've become a master of processing different palm fronds. You know, I have massive, massive palm fronds that could take out a fence that fall, and I'll chop them up into small pieces and I'll put them out in the garbage bin and things like this. So in terms of us being able to collect bulk every month, this has definitely been a topic that we have discussed over and over again for years and years and years before I came on the council as well. And so it is partially funding. We don't have the money necessarily to do monthly or more frequently. And then as discussed, there's the discussion of changing the dates or reorganizing. The most critical is hurricane season. The most critical is a pre-hurricane season, because without doing an adequate job of encouraging people to get all their bulk out at the beginning of hurricane season, then that's when we end up with literally thousands of heavy projectiles waiting to be picked up by even a smaller storm. So so yes, in all of that, it really comes down to where is this garbage going, and that determines who's willing to pick it up and take it there, and what it's going to cost them to get rid of it. And so you know, I almost wish we had see-through garbage cans, because then I think people would start paying attention more to what they throw out. But I said almost wish. So, but in that regard, certainly we don't want things to be left out, or residents to have to, you know, change their own behavior to accommodate these things. But this is the scenario we are in, specifically with the budget, as well as what the capabilities are, because, as I said, we don't have alleys. There are a lot of other pieces of infrastructure, including the necessity, because the size of other municipalities, that changes a little bit the way they operate. So, I mean, I'll just say that, you know, driving down Park Drive here, Miami Shores Municipality is the apartment complex here right across from Village Hall, and you do notice that because they have far more frequent pickups, there is debris outside all the time. So I do give credence to the argument that if we did have pickups more often, monthly, for example, then you would have a perpetual piles gathering in the front yards, because, again, we don't have the alleys. So this debate's not over. It will continue for years to come. I personally think that the discussion in the garbage world itself is going to guide a lot of this. I personally think that recycling is going to be gone soon because people realize nothing you put in that recycling bin is getting recycled. So things are evolving, and global warming, climate change is certainly driving a lot of it, and that's really, I think, the primary focus of what we're trying to accomplish is storm damage mitigation, and yes, beautification of properties, but really it's a budget versus getting prepared for storms is I think the driver behind our garbage discussion.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Urban. Anybody else on Zoom? Any other questions or comments about the coastal contract from the council? We're good. We have a motion. We have a second. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Perella.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Urban.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, you guys. I-9 is the next resolution. This is the Pannoni Associates. This is addendum number 2. Mr. Attorney Geller, I was going to say Mr. Attorney Geller. Attorney Geller, can you please read that into the record, please?
Yes, Mayor. A resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Patel, Florida, approving revised addendum number 2 to the October 10, 2017 supplemental agreement number 3 contract between the Village of El Patel and Pannoni Associates, Inc., providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Attorney Geller, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Myself, Attorney Geller, the village manager, we're in countless and numerous meetings consistently for all type of issues, and the sewer, which is co-spearheaded by Councilperson Perella, is one of the things that, we consistently have meetings about. Attorney Geller, can you kind of just tell us?
Yes, sir. At your last meeting, I think it was the last meeting, or the one before, we resolved our dispute with Pannoni. We adopted an addendum. They sharpened their pencil pretty good for us, came down on what the numbers that they'd been quoting us, and we reached an agreement to have them go forward and finish the wastewater contract that they were in the middle of, and also do the planning on the stormwater. In the course of subsequent discussions about getting the project actually moving, it's come to our attention we have some CDBG money from the county that we want to use before they yank it back. And Pannoni said in the course of what they're doing, without further disruption, they could use that CDBG money to provide for intersection improvements, including things like ramps and other, grooved concrete and other things to make these intersections ADA compliant. So this second addendum for a very limited amount of money is basically just authorizing them to use money that we're being given by the county in the form of CDBG to upgrade the intersections where they're already doing the work pursuant to addendum number 1. It's not money essentially coming out of our pocket. It's being funded. There's some balance left in our account from the 20-year close to zero interest loan from DEP, and the balance of this will come from CDBG, so none of it's village GR.
But if we don't use that CDBG, the county's already been on our butts consistently with emails. If we don't use it, we'll lose it. Absolutely. If we don't use it, we will lose it. And they've been asking us and begging us for a while. Y'all, what are y'all using it for? What are y'all using it for? All right, y'all keep playing. So.
But in all candor, we were always waiting to get this Pannoni situation. That's what held us up, because we needed to use that to fund some. This is for what it is. And this was CDBG funds were. It was a grant that Robert Ruano and I had applied for and gone to countless meetings, and we got it. Then we were stuck because we had to work our issues out with Pannoni. So I'm glad we were able to do that last week in the last council meeting, and here we are able to utilize these funds and not have to take on more debt or take out this FDEP loan to pay for this portion of the project. So this is a great use of the funds, and we've actually decided we're going to go after the CDBG funds again to maybe fund the next stage of this. So anywhere we can get free money and we can utilize this CDBG, we're going to utilize it for this project. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Madam Manager. Appreciate that. Any questions or comments from the council?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Realizing the energy behind this resolution, I would say I would propose the motion be that we adopt it as it's written for section 1 and 2 and move forward on this very critical item.
Very good. Thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Motion made by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. Any other questions or comments from the council?
I have just one question.
Yes.
So we'll pass this tonight in theory. Is there any remaining chance whatsoever that the county would be able to retract those funds at this point?
No, they're given to us. We can use them. Candidly, the only remaining question is, can we get the county, not just more CDBG monies, we're trying to talk with the county to see if we can get them to pick up more of the costs of the project.
Right.
But no, these are committed, as long as we, let them know now.
Okay.
Once we tell them, yes, our council has approved it, we're using them, this is where it's going, deal is sealed.
Okay.
And I just to add to that, I meet with the county, this grant manager every first Tuesday of the month. She's aware, I've talked to her about this is where we're at. As long as we come in with our plans, we just have to give a scope and a budget, then we are going to be granted the funds. So we're well on our way to receiving the funds, and they won't be recaptured. We're good.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions or comments for the council? All right, hearing now, how are we looking on Zoom? We're good on Zoom, nothing out there. We do have a motion. We had a second, correct?
Yes.
We had a second by Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And let me just say for the record, right when we were taking this vote, man, myself, Attorney Geller, and the village manager, when we say that we've been talking to the county about the county coming in to pay more on this, we're letting them know, you guys, once this is done, this project is done, and we're all on sewer, the county gets the money for the rest of eternity, not El Patel. You see what I mean? So it benefits them. So there's a lot more discussion to be had, but we're fighting for the people of El Portal, as I know the entire council is also. Madam Clerk, may I please have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Perella.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Erbom.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving right into the reports, you guys, going to the manager's report.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Nickerson. I'm going to be brief. I do want to just give an update. The Village Hall has reopened according to executive orders from Governor DeSantis. We are back to full functioning. I have taken the liberty of doing an administrative order to staff to continue to wear masks while we're at the office. When we conduct our meetings, we will be wearing masks. And we just ask as a courtesy that those who visit us will wear their masks as well. But we are not enforcing the mask usage. We are also continuing with our scheduling the appointments. And we are servicing walk-ins, but we want to continue with appointments as well to just give our staff the time that they need to and the space they need to conduct their work as well. We are preparing for our annual hurricane season. El Patel Police Department has secured all of its emergency items, and we're well stocked and prepared. The hurricane tree trimming will commence in about 10 days here in the village of El Patel, so we're excited about that. One item that did not move forward was the Nixle Everbridge communication item that we discussed a number of times. This is a communication, texting communication that would allow residents to have up-to-the-minute information. A lot of other municipalities do this. Would be great. Not everyone has access to a website when you're in a hurricane or emergency situation. So this would be helpful. I know that you all have gotten the quotes and reviewed them. I just ask that you, again, consider it again as we're moving into another hurricane season. On the parks renovation and renewal project, I continue to work on these things, and as you know, we got the the authorization to improve those parks on the west side, not the deeds, though. So we will move forward. I've met with an environmental engineer, local, who actually lived in El Portal and has done a number of homes here. And he and I met on 2 Saturdays ago in Sherwood Forest and the Tequesta Mound, as well as on the west side, to talk about recommendations in terms of, you know, natives and what's viable considering the lighting and those things. He had some wonderful suggestions. We'll be preparing another list for me. I did receive such a list from the Parks Department as well, so at least we have, you know, something else to look at. I also met with Jeff Ransom, who is the Miami-Dade County archaeologist. He has about the Tequesta Mound. That mound is historic. It needs to be preserved, and it needs some work. So I think that this renovation couldn't come at a better time for our historic site here. Mr. Ransom will be actually coming to do a site visit with me and making some recommendations about the things that need to happen there. But we're also going to be putting together a public education campaign for the residents in the Sherwood Forest area. So that they can be the eyes and ears and help ensure that, you know, people aren't coming on the mound, disrupting the earth, or doing anything that would endanger this historic site, but also so that they're aware. And we're going to put that on the website too, so it's preserved. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of information, if it's not collected in a place where everyone can get to it, it may fall by the wayside. So I want to ensure that that information about that historic site is preserved as well. We are moving forward on so many other items. They're all in my manager's report. I invite you to please take a look. It is posted on the village website. And just know that our police department is doing a yeoman's job of just keeping things, holding it down. I'm impressed with them, and I know that we're down a few officers or staffers due to some retirements or resignations, but applications are being reviewed, and we hope to find some good, viable candidates. And again, we're only looking at good candidates for El Portal. That's what we deserve, and it's a great place to work. Code enforcement, you all are very aware of. Things are very exciting in code enforcement, and we get a lot of comments, compliments, and complaints, but our code officer is fantastic, and she's doing a great job. We have talked about the CDBG, and I will let you know this. I'm advertising for an RFP starting on Thursday. This is for the El Jardín Stormwater Improvement Plan. So we will be looking for a contractor to do the construction work for El Jardín, and that bid will we will have a closing date of June 29th, so the end of the month, and then we'll make the award at a council meeting. Well, you will make the selection once we give you the recommendations and the bid packages, but that is something that's moving forward very quickly as well. So we have a lot of things happening. We're excited to see things being checked off the list, and I just want to continue to work with all of you all. I think we've gotten some major hurdles crossed tonight, and I think June's going to be even more exciting. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Madam Manager. For the sake of time, you guys, I'm going to breeze through super quickly. You know, the manager, the attorney, and myself are in almost every meeting together, so I'm not going to repeat, what either of them have to say. Attorney Geller, were you going to discuss PBA in your report real quick? Okay, so I won't discuss that either. You guys, we had a Little River AAA Adaptation Action Area meeting recently. They were discussing how there's state resilience funds at $600 million and septic sewer funds at $600 million. So we're going to be looking into going after that. Also, we have the Little River cleanup is Saturday, June 5th. Little River cleanup. You can, I think it's been on the website, so I believe it's on the website. Little River cleanup, Saturday, June 5th. We'll do another email blast soon so that the residents can get that again. Unfortunately, our Northeast 2nd Avenue sewer connection funding request did not pass through in Tallahassee. That failed. Right now, the Horace Mann Middle School traffic calming request in Tallahassee is for $300,000. It was actually passed through in Tallahassee, but now it is on. It is up to the governor to see what he wants to do with it. So it's been passed through $300,000 traffic calming over on the west side, but it's up to the governor. We'll see what he's going to do with it. So it's out of our hands for that at that point. The manager and myself and Ms. Ruano had a meeting about Perez Create Art Grants program, talking about a sculpture garden that could possibly be put in various places throughout our gardens throughout El Portal. If you guys don't really know, you guys can Google sculpture garden and kind of just Google how it looks. And so we're trying to see if we can get a grant for this, because there might be a grant opportunity available for us when it comes to that. I've been having multiple meetings with Horace Mann. We have another one tomorrow. It's tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. I've been going to the ESAC meetings. You guys, for the ESAC meeting, I've been blessed, and lucky they put me on the budget committee and the discipline committee for Horace Mann. So that'll be good. Myself, the village manager, and former mayor Claudia Cabillo, she showed up. We didn't know she was coming, but she showed up at the ribbon cutting for the new library at Horace Mann. That was like a last minute thing. We got called in last minute to go there and be a part of that. Later that day, I was in anti-gun violence and prosperity community prayer meeting, and that was with County Commissioner Keon Hardeman. And so we did that. We did the meeting, then we went to a church, and I spoke at that church on behalf of El Portal. So that was a good day also, you guys, for anti-gun violence and prosperity throughout the community. That's pretty much it. We've had we've had the Synovus loan meetings happen, you guys, so we're preparing for, our loan deadline. So we'll be well prepared. So we have options for when that comes up. So we're getting that prepared for you guys also. I'm just trying to hit the stuff that the manager didn't hit, because both of our reports say the same thing. So I'm just trying to hit the stuff that you didn't hit. But I do want to be quick, and I think I'll just leave it there. We had the installation for the board members for the Miami-Dade County League of Cities. That was really nice. And so the manager saw, and she was sending me, she was texting me while I was doing it. She was like, "Hey, you look good on there." So I appreciate that. That was a very exciting event for the board installation members, you guys. But besides that, there's so much other stuff, but I have my report also with that. And we'll turn it over, Attorney Geller, your report.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of very quick items. First, as you've heard, we have a little bit of business we need to get done quickly, so we will have a special meeting on June 8th, 2 weeks from tonight. At that meeting, we'll consider 3 items. Number 1 is, as we discussed earlier, we're amending the development agreement between the Cavista development and the village, specifically for one purpose only, okay? The only thing that's being amended is where in 2 places it has a list of proposed uses that the funds from Public Benefits Trust Fund can be used from, and that's in the development agreement. So we have to have 2 public hearings on it in order to amend the development agreement. It's going to be done by ordinance, so we will have an ordinance for first reading on the 8th. Second reading thereafter, after second public hearing, will be at the regular council meeting on the 22nd. And I want to emphasize, there are no other changes to the development agreement than just allowing the additional uses that are now allowed by the ordinance you adopted on second reading tonight. So the ordinance now allows it. Now that the ordinance allows it, we can amend the development agreement and get that done. And thereafter, by the way, as we said earlier, at the June 22nd meeting, you'll have a resolution before you to authorize the use of presumably your previously agreed amount, $350,000 total, out of the Public Benefits Trust Fund for purposes, in addition, lawful purposes such as policing. You could use it for some infrastructure, everything reasonably related to the new development. At that meeting in June 22nd, you'll need to specify exactly how much from the first tranche will go to be able to use for these purposes out of the 350. Because the first tranche is there, the first payment by the developer. I've heard the first amount could be 100, I've heard 150, I've heard 125, whatever your pleasure is. So you will set the total amount in the reso, and you'll authorize the withdrawal for the first payment, and you'll specifically authorize what those funds can be used for. The idea being that the council, when the second and the third withdrawal are made, after the second and third payments are made, the council again at that time has to authorize what the funds are being used for. They have to be a lawful purpose, but they also have to be pursuant to a vote by council. They're not unrestricted funds, as you requested, Councilman Perrell, on several occasions. So, also at the June 8th meeting, we'll have first reading for a design review board ordinance, so we can get second reading done June 22nd before the new ridiculous law takes effect July 1st. And we had a little confusion on some of this irrigation ordinance, so we're going to have first reading for the year-round irrigation ordinance at the June 8th meeting, and second reading for that also at the regular June 22nd meeting. The only other thing I particularly want to comment on is we are closing in on an agreement with the PBA. We got a new proposal in writing from them pursuant to lengthy discussions. But we got something that came in late Friday, which I've, just today sent to the chief, the manager, the CFO, and the mayor. We have a further session scheduled with the PBA this Thursday, bargaining session. Passing the police car lease purchase agreement that you passed tonight is going to go a long way towards getting us to closure with the PBA. The membership filed a grievance over those cars, but based on our discussions, the PBA, the county PBA, took control of that and agreed, if we were moving forward quickly, that that could be put, at least briefly, into abeyance, so we don't have to spend time, money, aggravation, or be at odds with our own police officers. We're moving towards getting a resolution. I've previously put on the record that I've requested what's called an executive session. That is a session that's not held in public view initially. It's allowed only for lawsuits that are pending or for labor negotiations, because those are things, you can't share with the people you're negotiating with, and there's no negotiating. And I've asked for that session for advice. We can't adopt anything, but we're hoping to either get close to or maybe even have an agreement. I think we'll be close as of this Thursday. Unless something changes, my inclination is to try to see about scheduling that executive session where we meet not in the sunshine, but just so there's no confusion, we go off the record, so to speak, but a court reporter comes and takes down verbatim everything everybody says. That's sealed until the contract is over, or the lawsuit, if it's a lawsuit, is settled, at which point it's unsealed. So the public ultimately does have a right to know everything that was said by everybody, just not in time to disrupt the negotiations. So my inclination is to see if we can do that on the night of June 8th, since we're meeting already, and since the items that we have are all going to be first reading, so the public hearing should be brief. I mean, we're making very minor changes to the development agreement, not terribly significant to most people. And perhaps we can squeeze in the executive session at the same time. And if everything is all hunky-dory, and the bargaining unit can then approve the contract, we may be able to vote final approval of the contract at the June 22nd meeting. And that's our goal. And the only other thing I'll add, and this is editorial, I have to say, as somebody who's been here on and off, but mostly on for very many years, you had a lengthy agenda tonight, last time. This council is accomplishing an unbelievable amount. I certainly want to give credit to the manager and the clerk, but it's really refreshing to see a council working so closely together and so harmoniously and accomplishing so much for the citizens, and I would be remiss if I didn't note that to you. With that said, that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Attorney Geller? Okay. Hearing none. Thank you very much. These are the most important slew of meetings in the history of El Portal for the future of El Portal. Absolutely. Questions? You guys good? I do want to say for June 8th, Councilperson Martin, I just added in my current agenda items where I keep all my different folders and stuff, the Juneteenth celebration for June 8th. So I got you on there. I haven't forgotten you, and I'll get that to you, Madam Clerk. All right. That being said, you guys, good and welfare. Anybody have anything to say? This is the part where you can guys say anything at all. Anybody on Zoom?
I have.
We're good. Go ahead, Vice Mayor
I
Urban.
will be very brief. I've recently got a slew of spam phone calls. People saying that they're with the Social Security Administration and my Social Security number is now no longer functional, and to call this number, right? And so, just coming from public affairs, I just remember I want to get like a PSA schedule for the village on an annual basis. We put out PSAs at different times, but I just want to say that these types of scams are just massively accelerating or exponentially growing, I would say, in number. And so we should think critically about having some manner of reminders to our residents of different types of diligence they should take when they encounter these calls. And then at some point I may even reach out to the attorney to find out if we can put any additional penalties for anybody who would be convicted of, engaging in identity theft of any resident of El Portal. So I was going to put that on your radar. These things are on the rise in a big way, and I'm sure at some point we're going to have a resident who's impacted by it. So,
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Urban. Anybody else for good and welfare? Yes. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
We'll come down as a citizen.
Okay.
I'm glad to see we're getting out early tonight, and I wouldn't be doing this, but I know so many people in the village are veterans. We celebrate together, and I got this out of a military spouse. I may not get through it, so I've asked tonight for Councilwoman Martin to get me through this one. The true meaning of Memorial Day. All veterans, raise your hand. I'm it. The phrase freedom isn't free is a familiar saying reminding Americans that defending freedom comes with a steep cost to many who pledge their lives in defense of liberty. I am a Vietnam-era veteran. Referring to Memorial Day as a holiday diminishes its solemnity. That's why I didn't want us to kind of make it out like it's something like the 4th of July. It is not. The current health crisis, subsequent economic shutdown, and the social distancing guidelines presents an opportunity to pause and recognize the ultimate sacrifice Americans have made in the name of freedom. Memorial Day is about those who lost their lives to defend what we have, and that is freedom. Memorial Day means different things to different people. Some Americans celebrate the day as a kickoff to summer. Members of the military and veterans reflect on the eternal bond with their brothers and sisters in arms. For Gold Star families, it is a day to mourn their lost loved ones. For our Americans, it's a day to adorn the graves of those lost in battle. It is a grateful nation that chooses to honor and give thanks to the brave who stood between tyranny and liberty. Since the first Memorial Day, the purpose of the holiday was to eulogize the fallen and to reaffirm the commitment to defend the Constitution. Fallen service members bequeath their mission to defend the Constitution to pass from generation to generation. Honoring them isn't to remember how they died for their country, but to remember them for how they dedicated their lives in defense of freedom. President Abraham Lincoln saw beyond the battlefields and a fractured nation during America's most deadly war. The most honorable thing a grateful nation can do to show its gratitude to the fallen is to dedicate itself to protecting the freedoms that those who sacrificed their lives to defend. When Lincoln visited the Gettysburg Memorial following the horrific battle, he went with the purpose of consecrating the hallowed ground and to memorialize those lost. The speech underscored the way to honor the fallen was the living to rededicate themselves to noble cause of preserving liberty. President Lincoln said, "It is for us the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the greatest task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to take cause for which they gave their last full measure and devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God," I'm not going to make it, Maren, "have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of this people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth." Take that over for me.
I'll just continue the rest. Decoration Day, now known as Memorial Day, was officially declared May 30th, 1868, nearly 5 years after Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address. Major General John Logan established a day of remembrance to give thanks to the fallen. Until World War I, Decoration Day was dedicated to the memory of those who died fighting in the Civil War. After World War I, the day was expanded to honor the fallen of all American wars. In 1971, Decoration Day officially became Memorial Day and was declared a national holiday by an act of Congress. Following similar federal holidays, Memorial Day was designated to be observed on the last Monday of May. Decoration Day / Memorial Day has always honored the memories of those who died in battle. The enemies fluctuate, the weaponry has progressed, and the art of war has become sophisticated. The ultimate goal, to preserve freedom, has transcended throughout 2 centuries. Throughout the mall in Washington, D.C., there are memorials dedicated to nearly every major American war in history. The memorials honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. They are great reminders for future generations that freedom and liberty are causes worthy of dying to defend. Men and women who have died protecting freedom are owed a grateful nation's eternal gratitude, respect, and commitment to honor their lives by guarding the liberties they gave their lives to protect. As Lincoln noted in the Gettysburg Address, these dead shall not have died in vain. Each one of their lives mattered, and their sacrifice to this country mattered. Over 1 million Americans have died in battle defending this country since the Revolutionary War. It's impossible to remember all the names, ages, hometowns, the families they left behind, or their aspirations, but we remember what they lived and died for on our behalf. Memorial Day isn't about memorializing the dead. It's to honor their courage and commitment to be willing to give up their lives for millions of Americans they would never know, while at peace with the knowledge of future generations of Americans may live free. Memorial Day is America's annual vow of renewal to protect freedom and liberty. It is a promise to those who died at the altar of freedom to never neglect nor destroy the priceless gift of freedom. To the village, residents, and others, continue to be safe on Memorial Day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, I intend to lay a wreath somewhere on the grounds of Village Hall Monday morning, May 31st. join me. It'll be about 9 o'clock.
I'll be here, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, I just want to say thank you for your service. Thank you very much, you guys. As the attorney said earlier, we have a new and a wonderful council that's much different from the past. All right. So appreciate that. With that being said, you guys, do we have anybody else with good and welfare? How are we looking on Zoom? We're good. Hearing none else for good and welfare, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. My husband's also a veteran. He'll be with me.
Yes, we will be here. We will be here. Thank you for his service also. Thank him for his service. Do I have a second for a motion to adjourn?
I second.
Thank you very much. Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, second by Councilperson Martin. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Hearing no nays, the regular council meeting for Tuesday, May 25th, 2021 is adjourned at 9:40 p.m.